All right, let's get started again. We're going to kick off our From Dream to Reality workshop. So I'm going to screen share and get started. Before we do that, could you drop in the chat? I'm super curious to know about your business. If you could tell me in the chat what your business is and where are you at with it? Are you in the dreaming, like I'm thinking this could be a good business phase? Are you in the, we've gotten started, but I'm still throwing a spaghetti at a wall? Or are you in the phase where you're like, I'm looking for some strategies to get more people in and to grow, right? So are you dreaming? Are you starting? Or are you growing? Where are you kind of at? I am excited to work with all of you wherever you're at this stage. All right, so let me screen share. So we went from the who to the where. So I want you to think about your business. We're going to go over to page 4 and we're going to vision set. I love to vision cast. This is my favorite thing to do. I call these dream walks. Like I'm going to walk you through the process of a dream walk right now. A dream walk, and again, we're not going to have time to write all of it today because I have a lot that I'm going to give you. I just looked, I'm at slide 17 of 70. So I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. But I want you to either sit in quiet and write this through later, or I want you to take a walk. I want you to take a walk and I want you to ask yourself each of the questions I'm going to give you in this exercise and just focus on that one question. We as moms don't allow ourselves to just stop and think and pause about other things. So what I want you to do is allow yourself to just get the download, right? And you can say like, God, universe, whatever you believe in, like, I just really want this download. I'm open to whatever it is. And there's a science in the brain, right? About when we open up our front of our brain, our reticular activating system, we'll start to see things, see possibilities. It's like, I'm going to get a black car. And then all of a sudden you see black cars everywhere, right? It's the same principle here. When you start to allow your brain to focus in on the one thing and you just say, hey, I want to think about this YouTube channel. I want to think about this new course. I want to think about this membership. I want to think about my service. Your brain is going to be open to downloads it wasn't open to, right? It sounds a little woo, but a little science. Go with me on it. You're going to take a walk and you're just going to create this vision. And this vision is going to tell you where this part of your business fits into your life right now. I got to tell you something. For so long, I tried to fit my business into my life. My life into my business. I was hustling. I was working all these hours. I was tired. I was burnt out. I almost quit multiple times in this past 6 years. And it wasn't until year 2 when I came up with these frameworks that I realized I was doing it backwards. The world tells us our lives are supposed to fit into our work. I mean, come on, right? School's starting and it's like, oh, there's all these things you have to be at, or at the end of the school year, right? At 10 a.m. on a Friday, and parents who are working are like, what are you talking about, right? The world is set up so that your life comes second to your work. But I want to tell you, as a business owner, you get to change that. And your life should be first and your business should be second. So right now might not be the time for you to do this project. And we're going to run it through a filter. And I want you to give yourself permission to say, I want to do this. It's not the time, right? I thought about writing a book for months now, but over the summer wasn't a time to start. So I decided to pick a different time. Okay. So when you do this, oh, I just said all this. You're going to be able to define success on your own terms. I do this a lot, don't I? I just like going off on a tangent when I have a beautiful slide here. This vision, though, is going to be helpful because on those unmotivated days, because you're going to be unmotivated, right? It's just natural. Not a lot of us are naturally motivated. I consider myself very driven. I'm not naturally motivated, right? I need to use all these strategies to get there. So on the tough days, I can turn back into my vision and be like, oh, this is why I did it. Okay. Question 1. Okay. And again, you can answer them now, starting on page 4, they're in your workbook, or you can take them and table them for like a dream walk later. What would success with this project look like? If I started this business, what would I consider success? If I started this podcast, what would I consider success? If somebody besides like my mom downloads an episode, like boom, I'm here, right? That was me in the beginning. I was like, oh my gosh, I got 15 downloads. Somebody besides my mom and my husband listened to it. Like, you're kidding me, right? With the book, I might have a number in my mind. I want to do a book tour. Last time I had my book, I did a virtual book tour because it was like pandemic times. This time I want to do an in real life book tour, right? What does success look like for you with this specific project in this business? Have you ever asked yourself that? Or have you just been like, I want to start a business? Because here's what happens, right? It gets hard. And your partner might be like, hey, I noticed you're spending all these hours on your business, but it's not bringing in any money. And you start to feel defensive. You start to feel like you're being attacked and you don't have the vision to back it up. You're like, yeah, you know what? I hear you. And in the beginning, I feel like this might be how it looks, but I know that it can be successful because, and you kind of start talking through what you want success to look like. So what does success look like for you? How will you feel if you hit the goal? I know feelings, but let's do it. What is it going to feel like for you if you actually start a podcast and listen to it? If you create a new membership? If you start a group coaching program, right? This group coaching program I'm opening up today, this is our second round through, right? I went through like, what will it feel like for me to do this, right? What kind of feelings will get brought up for me? Like, oh my gosh, I actually hit this goal. Here's a big one. What impact could your project or your, have on your business and on your life? If I start a YouTube channel, I think it could really bring in new people that will find my stuff and come into my funnel. If I start this business making t-shirts, it could financially bring in money that could help pay for my groceries. What is the impact it could have? It's so key to pause and ask yourself this. And the one thing that I didn't do enough of that I'm adding into this framework is this last question. What roadblocks and what obstacles are going to come up if I go after this goal? Because here's the thing we know, right? Whether you call it Murphy's Law, spiritual warfare, whatever it sounds like or looks like for you, when you start going after a goal that's going to have an impact on other people, all of a sudden, stuff's hitting the fan, right? All of a sudden, everyone's getting sick and you get sick or you can't do things, Like I was really cranky this week that I got sick. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need my energy. I have to present, all these things. And then I reminded myself that this is just a reminder that I think this is going to be a big thing because there's obstacles hitting my way. And I look at these obstacles as that. When I hit these obstacles that come up that make it a struggle, because I'm so secure in the vision of what I have, I'm like, this just means it's going to have a big impact. Like, I'm here for it. Let's go. Like, I can't let it get me down, because if I didn't, when the obstacles come up, I'll lose it. Now I'm going to tell you something. I did not do a great job of doing this. So on Tuesday, I was on with Jamie, who's on our team, and I was like in my feels, literally like near tears about being sick and being overwhelmed and stuff. And after we talked, she said to me, go for a walk. And so I did. And I just kind of did some walking. I prayed. I got in my thoughts and I was like, you know what? It is what it is. And I felt so much better because I went through this process. So I want you to ask yourself, what are the roadblocks? What are the obstacles? What are the things that are going to come up for you? It's important to acknowledge them. And then you pro-con that. I know a lot of you are like, I want to maybe quit my job and start this full time. We got to pro-con this for a little bit, right? You have to know, if this obstacle pops up, where is it going to be for my family, right? Like, how is that going to look in my life? And then ask yourself, does this business project, whether it's starting my first freebie or my first Facebook group or writing a book, does it fit into the next season of my life, right? For me, writing the book, I would like it to come out by the end of 2024. I haven't backwards planned it yet, but it does fit into this next season. I feel like I'm in a really good spot in my business where I can, and my kids are going back to school, which is the other reason I didn't start it in the summer, where I can dedicate, an hour a day to the book. Like, I feel really good about that. I didn't feel good about that in the summer. So guess what? I didn't work on it. And I allow myself that freedom. As a business owner, I want you to allow yourself that freedom. If it is so exciting when we get an idea, especially if you're multi-passionate and you're like, I want to do this and I want to do this right now, but does it even fit into your life? Does it fit into what's going on for you? Because if it doesn't, then is it worth it right now? And it's okay to say no, right? It's also okay to say no, but then say it'll fit in, and you say where it's going to fit in, right? Like, you table it for later. All right. So think about the where. Did anything come up for anyone? You want to drop in the chat? Anything that you're like, okay, I know who I want to help, right? Like, I have a good idea of who I want to help. I know where it fits into my life, or if it doesn't right now. And again, if it doesn't fit in now, where does it fit in seasonally? Like, after the holidays, is it a new year project? I know I'm going to be working with a lot of people in this next cohort of the roadmap who are really going to be planning 2024. And I've had a couple emails about it already where people are like, well, I really want to plan next year. Like, I'm not ready to start anything new this year. Okay. So now you know the context of what you're going in for, right? So where does this new podcast, program, service, whatever, where does it fit into your next season of life? Because the next thing we're going to ask ourselves is how, right? How does this run in my business? And how will I help people with this and make money at the same time? Okay. when you make your vision, it's really important to say, okay, I know who I want to help. I know what I want it to look like, but now I need to figure out how to make some money. Because I don't know about you, but I did not make money in the first few months of my business, right? And I'm very fortunate because I did bring in money. I know a lot of people don't bring in money their first year, but I did bring in money my first year, but it wasn't a lot. And I was so excited about it. But for a long time, I had a very expensive hobby. I was buying coaching programs. I was doing these things. And I thought, how is this actually going to make me any money? And I think one of the things that we struggle with as entrepreneurs is we don't look at the how and the big picture plan. We don't think of the funnel. We don't look at where it fits in. We just think, I have this idea and I'd like to make money, so I'm going to try it. It doesn't really work all the time, right? So the first thing I want us to do is think about your statement that is kind of your I help statement. Now I'm going to give you, this is on page 6 in your workbook. I'm going to show you an example of how to do this. So you can do this for your actual business. And then you can also do this for the specific project. I'm going to show you an example of the specific project and how it'll all fit in, right? So when I like to frame this statement, whether it's about my business in general or about a specific project, these are the questions I ask myself. How do you help people, right? So either I help, who you help, or this will help. This podcast will help, this book, this membership, okay? Who are you going to help? What are you helping them do? What is the outcome that they're going to get from reading your book or listening to your podcast or downloading your freebie? What is it going to be? What are you even going to help them do? Because if you don't even know what you're going to help them do, how are you going to convey that to people? I think one of the reasons you might not be getting new people into your marketing is, one, we talked about this in the who, you're not speaking their language. 2, you're not being clear on how you help them, right? People are saying, what do you do? Or, oh, I didn't know you did that. Or, what is this going to help me do? They don't understand what you actually do. And so if you're not clear on it, how are they going to be clear on it, right? By, that's how you're going to actually do it. And then without, and that's where you're going to toss an objection buster in. All right. So this is on 6 for you, but I want to show you an example of, let me make this a little bit smaller. Okay. Let me show you an example of this specifically for my book. Okay. Because I wanted to show you not just, oh, the general business, but how you can think about it through your product. Okay. So this is for the book. Ready? This book will help moms. Now that's pretty general because I haven't done my research in my who. So I'm going to get more specific. Moms is very general, but that's what the book's going to help. What is the book going to help them do? It's going to help them change their belief systems and develop confidence in themselves. Like that is my goal with the book. I feel super clear on that one. By giving them strategies to rewire their thought patterns without completely changing the person that they are or having to be positive all the time. How many of you look at self-help books and you're like, I don't feel like being rainbows and sunshine all the time, right? Or it is a fear. Like, yeah, if I change how I think about things, like, is that going to change who I am? Like, do I have to become a whole nother person? Like, I don't believe you have to become a whole nother person. I believe you just have to change the way you look at things. And we can look at things differently to help you, right? But I'm not about toxic positivity and like, go, 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 right? So what is yours? Now I'm going to tell you, I was struggling with this a little bit and I was trying to come up with the objections, and I used a tool that we teach in the roadmap using AI. So in my program, I teach you a lot of AI. There's a lot of AI prompts. And one of those was the objection. I was like, what would their objection be? Because again, I haven't fully done my who research yet because this is a new project for me. So I didn't know. And I was like, what would it be? So I put the prompt right in the ChatGPT and I was said, if I was working with a mom who wanted to change her belief systems and develop confidence, what would be some objections they might have? And AI gave me like 10 of them. And I read through and I'm like, that's it. Those are the ones. So I just want you to know that if you're not sure, it's okay. There's tools out there. Once you do your interviews and all the other tools that we teach in that first phase, you're going to like feel great about it. But there's tools out there that can help you if you're not sure what the objections, completely are. So work on this for a second right now. Let me check over in the chat because I definitely have not been doing that. Chanel says, I think right now I'm struggling with feeling bad about wanting to charge money for the stuff that I can teach. So let's talk about this, right? How many of you feel guilty for charging money? It's so real. The money mindset around stuff is so incredibly real. I struggle with this as well. I tend to underprice stuff and I have to work on that in my mindset. My first recommendation for that is, why don't you do a beta launch for the program you want to do? So we did that for the roadmap. I was struggling with what to charge for it. So the first round, I was like, I really want to do this. I need to charge for it because I know that, one, I need to be paid for my time. Two, people do more when they're invested in things financially. And also it is a business. And so I charge them 60% of what I would charge, what I'm charging for this round. And I said, you're going to help me with it and it's going to help. Why don't you try that? Hey, if I know I want to charge $197 for a course or whatever it is, I'll do a beta round at $47 and you let them help you. And what I did to help me with my mindset around pricing is, as my confidence grew with the amount of people I helped, I would raise my price until I got to a place that felt good for me. And I needed that. I wasn't ready to come out the gate charging $10,000 for something, and I'm still not, right? So I get to a place where I'm like, where is the place that's a stretch but comfort for my person, which I will know in my interviews, but also feels good for valuing my time. There's a bunch of other things we can talk about when it comes to pricing, but that's something I think would be good to kind of to lean into, right? But yeah, Andrea, if it's not all together, that's when you do the beta. I think that is the best time to do the beta because you're telling people, I'm not going to have this all together and I want your feedback. I don't think anyone came into the roadmap beta thinking it was going to be all together and perfect. And I read through people's feedback and I saw things that they were like, I wish we had done more here. I wish there was more of this. And now I know how to make the program better. I don't feel bad about that because I still gave my time and my expertise.